Hello, my name is Mark Halbig. I am a behavior support specialist with the Albuquerque Public Schools. Today's video is establishing routines in the virtual setting. This is the first in a series about routines in the virtual setting, but this is how do we establish them? How do we teach them? So you can see the team's email at the top. Feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have any questions or need any support, and we will help you in any way we can. For the remainder of this video, I'm going to turn off my camera so it doesn't block the presentation. And let's get started. So this slide, the importance of routines and procedures, this is more of a reflection piece. So we're not going to go through all the questions, but I recommend that you just process and think about these as you create routines for your classroom. So I do want to discuss this regulate and educate. This is something we've learned in trainings, we've started using in trainings, and the basic idea is the more emotionally and physically regulated students are, the more they'll be able to take on academic content. And so how do we help with student regulation? Well, two of the main things are the relationships we build with them and the routines we establish for our class. So let's get to the main part, which is the keys to establishing routines. So I have a picture here of Jamboard on the right. And if you're unfamiliar with this online tool, the basic idea is we put a question in on the top left, and we used this in a training previously. One routine I need to establish in the first few days is, and you can see the responses from people who were at the training. And so Jamboard's a tool where, as a group, we can interact and communicate with each other all in one place and see many people's ideas. So how do I establish this routine in class? Two of these I'm going to really save for the next slide, which is student input, which I'll talk about later, and that teaching, modeling, and reinforcing. But does my routine have a clearly defined and communicated purpose and outcome? Well, I just mentioned by looking at Jamboard here, what's its purpose? It gives us an interaction and communication tool online. So I can communicate that to the students. Does it give us predictable and safe outcomes? Well, when I teach it to the students, it gives us a better chance at being more predictable and having safe outcomes. Can I control everything? No, but it does give me the tool. I can delete things. If students aren't using it correctly, we could not use it, but I'm going to make it as predictable and safe as possible. Does it fit with my classroom design? I like student input. I like for them to talk to each other, so this fits with that. Is it time saving? Well, what would be more time saving? Waiting for them to type it into a chat, which some of them may not do, and I might have a hard time seeing. If I asked them to unmic their cameras and every student answered, that might take longer. This is efficient, it's effective, and it's time saving. So I'm going to keep this in consideration as I'm creating this routine, but Jamboard fits a lot of these key features, and I just have to make sure I fill in the rest with students. How do I teach, model, and reinforce this? I may have some students that know how to use Jamboard, but some may not. So what steps should I take? First, I'm going to have a pre-recorded video, or I could do this in present mode in advance, where I show them the basic features of Jamboard. Now, when I go to the modeling and practicing part, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to go into present screen mode, and this time I'm just going to give them one basic question. I'm just going to have them use one basic feature, like the Post-its you saw on Jamboard, and then I'm going to have them return to me. But I'm going to do all of it first to model it. So the question would be something like, one thing I did this weekend was, and then I would work this, and then I'm going to have them answer that. I'm only going to provide them the link to Jamboard after I've modeled it, because if I provide it first, think of that predictability and that safe outcome. They may be all over the place doing who knows what. But if I wait till after I've modeled, then give them the link, now I tell them, okay, go answer your one question on the Post-it. You have 2 minutes, return to the meet. So how can I reinforce this as we go? I'm going to monitor the entire time. We're going to reflect as a class, and I'll go in a little bit more depth on that here in just a moment. I'm going to acknowledge what they did well. You all did very well. When I'm looking at your Jamboard, you all answered the one question. I didn't see anybody put anything extra. You came back to the meet within 2 minutes, so that was good to see. So I'm going to give that very specific praise to them. So then to reinforce, I'm going to use Jamboard in a second way. So with a second question, I mean. And so the second question would be, what expectations should we all use and have when using Jamboard? And now they're going back in and going to use a second Post-it. So not only am I reinforcing how to use Jamboard, but now we're getting that student input on the expectations. And we're going to use that to kind of create our class norms and routines for Jamboard. I can also reinforce it by, if you continue to use it correctly, we can continue to use it more. If you want to continue to abuse using Jamboard, then we won't be able to use it. So those are the keys of how I would consider those key ways of establishing routines and how I would teach it to the students. Thank you for your time. Look for the other videos in the series on instructional and communication routines in class. Remember, you can contact us if you have any questions. Thank you for your time. Have a good day and good luck with all your teaching and experimenting in the virtual setting.